folks, and welcome to Paddock Pass, your post-qualifying edition for the French Grand Prix 2019. They had looked like they were in the ascendancy all weekend, and so it proved in qualifying. Mercedes untouchable, but while Valtteri Bottas had held some might think a slight advantage over his teammates, certainly looking at the practice times, it was Lewis Hamilton who took pole from Valtteri. What happened behind, though, has left us with a very jumbled up grid for what could be a very exciting race. But let's start at the start. Let's start with Q1. So with the sun beating down on circuit, Paul Ricard qualifying began, and it was the Williams drivers who ended up in 19th and 20th place. Now, Georgie Russell, I think with one of the laps of his Formula One career so far to go P19, it really was a phenomenal lap, and he was very, very happy with it. Robert Kubica in 20th. Said it's a better weekend all round, but still, it's still not gelling for him. He's still not feeling great with it. They are waiting, of course, for the upgrades to the car to try and put pace on, but at least that car is feeling better than it was a couple of races ago. P18, Lance Stroll just cannot hook up a qualifying lap in that Racing Point car. Bizarrely enough, in that session, his teammate, Sergio Perez, went 6th. And Lance struggling down in 18th. He has started to come around to the opinion that he can't get the tyres turned on as much as he needs to for that one lap. Whether it's that, whether it's something deeper than that, not sure. But P18, another Q1 exit for him. P17, Romain Grosjean in the Haas. We're going to talk to him. P16, Danik Fiat. He has a penalty because he had an engine penalty this weekend, so he's outside of his allocation. He's happy. Car feels good, but obviously he's going to have to start from the back anyway, so being out in Q1 doesn't really matter to him. Let's talk to Romain Grosjean then. P17. Home race for Romain, and a Haas car which had gone really well in qualifying, but then fell off in the race. What's gone wrong for him this weekend? He described his Friday as the worst Friday he'd ever had in Formula One, was hoping for better today. He didn't get it.
It's been a tough weekend up to now. I think this morning we were happier with the car, but the pace is not very, very good. So struggling. Car is very difficult to understand in terms of balance, and the last lap was looking pretty okay until turn 9 and the rear end went, but we just don't have any explanation. So we just need to dig harder to understand and to make sure the car is better, because here it's hot, it's warm, there's a lot of energy going in the tyres, so we can't really blame the tyres.
So if it's not the tyres, and the car is usually good over one lap and then struggles in the race, what's going wrong?
I don't know. Maybe we others have brought up great and we haven't done so much. I don't know. We just need to understand. Obviously, Kevin has got the new suspension at the back, which is very powerful here, and I'm a bit gutted that I don't have for my own race.
Interesting stuff from Romain Grosjean, and that's how the rear part of the grid will form up for tomorrow's race, and so to Q2. If Romain Grosjean was disappointed being out in Q1, his teammate Kevin Magnussen will start not much higher. He went out of qualifying in P15, and he says the car, as far as he's concerned, has switched. Romain Grosjean, of course, brought up that new rear suspension, but Kevin believes that the car has now lost its one lap pace, so he hopes that means it's gained race pace, because of course it had qualifying pace but didn't have race pace, so hopefully he's lost one, gained the other. If not, then he's lost both, which would not obviously be ideal. Sergio Perez, having run that brilliant P6 lap in Q1, P14 in Q2, says he's making steps, but hopes that the strategy will be good for tomorrow. The Q1 lap gives him some confidence, at least in the overall pace of the car. Those guys running on the soft tyre in a session where actually the majority of the top 10 that went through did so on the medium tyre. Daniel Ricciardo yesterday told us he didn't like the soft tyre. It felt gooey, felt like melted chocolate on the track, and certainly the guys decided to run that medium tyre over the soft tyre in Q2 with the ones that had the better times and went through. Kimi Räikkönen pipped in P12, Nico Hülkenberg in P13. Räikkönen said the car feels better, should have been top 10, he just made a little mistake on his final lap. We, however, are going to talk to Alex Albon in P11. Happy, really happy, and he should be. Car looked great, and he doesn't have that new Honda power unit in the back of his car as his teammate Danik Fiat does. Starts the race just one place out of the top 10.
Yeah, it was close, but no cigar. I think we can be happy with that, though. I think where we were on Friday, even FP3 today, we were struggling a little bit. We were a bit on the back foot from the get-go, and the team did a really good job actually. I think in terms of balance, that was really all I could have asked for. I think we just needed a bit more. I'd like to see now with the C3, with the medium tyre, if that could have brought us the extra a little bit, but yeah, I'm still happy with it.
You're actually probably in a good place now, though, because you start in a fabulous position, might not have improved that in Q3, and with the free choice of tyre.
Exactly, yeah. I think we've seen how hot it is out here, and like you said, the option tyre is very sensitive, so P11 is, I'm not disappointed.
So that's 20-11, and so to the top 10 and Q3. And so for the top 10, and I've got to say, a pretty jumbled up grid and an exciting one as well. In P10, Antonio Giovinazzi told us he hopes this is his turning point of the Formula One season. Finally in Q3, finally starting a race in the points, and he hopes points will come as a return for him tomorrow for the first time this year. P9 for Pierre Gasly, 0.6 off his teammate. He says he took a wrong direction in the setup change between P3 and qualifying. But again, it's that half a second, 0.6 gap to Verstappen, which is now becoming something of a norm and something of a worry. And those questions will only get louder if he cannot cut that gap back. P8, Daniel Ricciardo expressed himself happy with qualifying. He's in a good place. He's feeling great. He is ahead, of course, of the Red Bull of Pierre Gasly. And he's only just behind a Ferrari. That Ferrari is Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel in P7. Was looking good all the way through qualifying for an easy top 4, but lost the feel of the car into Q3. So just didn't know where it went. All his confidence in the car just went away, and we saw him abort his first run in Q3. Just didn't have the confidence in the car after that. So from Vettel in P7 to the story of the day, P6, Carlos Sainz. P5, Lando Norris. McLaren have looked strong all weekend, and they backed up practice performance, which can sometimes flatter to deceive, with a great quali run. We're going to talk to both of them in a minute. Max Verstappen will line up in 4th place on the grid, and he thinks he could possibly have the car underneath him to challenge the Ferrari that starts ahead of him. That is Charles Leclerc in P3. Let's talk about McLaren though. Everybody in the top 10 is wary of the threat that McLaren posed this weekend. Their race pace looked good on Friday, but their qualifying pace today was phenomenal. The third row of the grid is theirs.
We didn't expect to be so good in quali. Especially me, I was the whole weekend struggling with the car. Haven't been there yet until qualifying, a bit on the back foot since trying a lot of experimental stuff yesterday. I felt I've been a bit behind the whole weekend. But today, suddenly in quali, I felt the pace was good. Put some good laps together, and we managed to beat P5 and P6, which is incredible for the team.
And how good is the race pace?
It's also quite good. Scarily good, but I don't believe it. I think we are not that quick as the timesheet shows in race pace. No? So we're going to be cautious going to tomorrow, trying to be best of the rest, and then see where Ferrari and Red Bull are.
Can the notoriously self-critical Lando Norris allow himself a smile?
Yes, I think I can. I think all weekend, not just qualifying. FP1, FP2, I said, I think to you at the beginning of the weekend, I need to start the weekend off in a better way than I did, especially in Canada, and then work on it and progress from there, and that's what I've done. So I've always been pretty comfortable in P1, P2, P3 into quali. I was a bit more confident than what I have been because I haven't been playing catch up as much. So from the whole weekend so far, I think I can be pretty happy with the job I did, and with the result as well. I think it's extra special, I guess. Well, not special, but been made better by beating the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Whether they made mistakes or not, we're ahead. But tomorrow's another day. We need to try and keep them behind.
Having spoken to them, they're wary of your race pace. How good is it?
I don't know. I haven't looked yet. I didn't really do much of a long run on Friday. Carlos did, and I haven't looked at that yet. So I'll be going over that now. Did they say it was good or bad?
Yeah, they're worried.
They're worried? Nah. For some reason, we're always... I don't know what it is. Something about Friday makes the car much quicker. Or makes them slower. They manage to improve a lot more than we do from Friday to Saturday and then into Sunday. So our race pace always looks fairly good on Fridays, but the race is always very different. And they have a faster car, especially the Ferraris. So it might be tough to keep them behind, but Ferrari's quickest in the straights. I don't think they have anything to worry about in terms of overtaking us. But yeah, hopefully we can battle the Red Bulls, but we'll find out tomorrow.
And so to the top three, your usual pretenders, but it is Lewis Hamilton in first, it is Valtteri Bottas in second, Charles Leclerc, who has, you got to say, had the measure of his teammate Sebastian Vettel for the majority of this weekend, who will line up in third place. Fantastic performance all weekend so far, particularly in qualifying. You had the measure of your teammate. Do you think you had the measure of the Mercedes at any point, or were they always just a little bit out of reach?
No, I think they were just out of reach all weekend. They have been extremely quick. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy today of my own performance. I think the main focus point after Canada and after the few races was qualifying to have the right car for Q3. I focused quite a lot on that this weekend, and I think we managed it pretty well to have the right balance for Q3. So I'm very happy on that. And we'll see tomorrow. I'll give it everything, and hopefully we can challenge a little bit more the Mercedes.
Everything this season has pointed towards the straight line speed of the Ferrari. Can you maximise that in the race tomorrow, take advantage of that?
Exactly, a good start could help us to overtake them on the run to the first corner, because it's quite a long straight before the first corner. So hopefully I manage to do a good start and sneak in front of the Mercedes and keep them behind.
Front row of the grid, pretty tidy weekend so far.
Yeah, so far obviously always could be a bit better when you're second, but yeah, I felt really good in the car and very in a happy place in general. But just Q3, there was one corner combination, 8 and 9. I never could quite get it right, so I think that was in the first run, the 1.5 tenths I lost to Lewis. Otherwise it was pretty identical between him, and the second run there was no cars ahead of me, so I had no tow at all. So that was pretty impossible to improve. But yeah, Lewis did some really good laps in Q3 that I was in the end unfortunately unable to match. But it's close, and I feel good, and points will be taken tomorrow.
Quite an exciting looking grid for the race tomorrow, and a short run downhill into turn 1 where we saw contact last year. How wary have you guys got to be with that tight left-hander at 1?
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a pretty tricky day ahead. It's going to be super warm as well for the tires, and but yeah, it's not going to be easy in any of the corners or places.
How deep did you have to dig today for that pole?
When I got to qualifying, it was, well, it's a different kind of depth that you have to go. I mean, I think it wasn't like Silverstone where, I was shaking, or I had it under control. I knew that it was there. It was about doing it. And I would say it was probably a more enjoyable discovery qualifying session, especially when you get your first lap in Q3. You're like, okay, I'm a tenth and a half ahead. You're done. And then you go quicker the next time. It's really, really strange. But if you're behind, you're like, damn, I've got to catch this time. And it's your psyche shifts. So.
For the race tomorrow?
Yeah, our race pace is strong. So race pace was really strong yesterday. So I hope it's still exciting for people, but they might not be too happy about it.
So that's your lot from Paddock Pass, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and do not miss the French Grand Prix tomorrow. It's going to be an absolute blinder. Mercedes do appear to be in a slight category of their own. That doesn't mean they're going to have it all their own way. As we saw, turn 1 last year, anything can happen and can really throw the cat amongst the pigeons. And we talk about cat amongst the pigeons. Max Verstappen there in 4th, looking to fight the Ferrari of Leclerc in 3rd. The McLaren's right in the middle of the mix, with Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault, with the Red Bulls, with the Ferraris. Could be a good one. Join us under the sweltering sun for what promises to be a great Grand Prix.